Howdy y'all, Caleb here, and the book is getting close. If you saw, the pre-orders are going up here pretty soon, and you know what that means. Leaks, they are coming. We've seen some of them pop up today with just these points that showed up on the internet, and I'll put a link to this picture that's being shared around. I'm sure tomorrow there's going to be even more leaks on everything else. It's still baffling why GW never gets ahead of this and you know, does some of their own promoting instead of having us look at potato pictures. But hey, at least this one we can read it. So let's go through some of what these points are like. Obviously, we don't know what the War Scrolls are yet. Hopefully that'll be leaked soon. But this is exciting to look at, even if we don't know what the War Scrolls are. Points are fun. That's part of this hobby. And so let's take a look at these points. What can we glean from this as far as our new battle tome might come up with? So here we have the spawn of Kotek, something like that. The Salamander is 125. And those very first points, we see that GW has gone back to the 5-point increment. I thought they had gotten rid of most of that, but our book is chock full of 5-point increments. So interesting design decision here. So that'll allow them to adjust these 5 points up or down later on as they see fit. But we have our artillery piece. It actually is labeled artillery, so that's kind of good. And it is single, so you won't be able to reinforce these salamanders now. We've seen part of their War Scroll, and even at 125, I'm not too excited about it yet, but obviously we'll have to see what the actual War Scroll looks like. I'm sure it'll be good enough to take at 125, or it might be something you throw in there to fill in the last little points if you're needing some shooting in a list. Our Source Guard is going up a little bit, but I've heard from the leaker who had this that they are going down to a 3-up save, and so they still have 2 wounds. So you're talking about 10 wounds on a 3-up save. Pretty good for the guard there. I definitely appreciate the extra +1 to their save, as they should be pretty tough. They are Battleline also. Source Warriors are going up pretty heavily. They're going up to 200 points, but the rumor is, we don't know this for sure, but the rumor is that they have 2 wounds now. So when you take that into consideration, essentially they're the same price, because you're talking about 20 wounds for 200 points versus currently we have 10 wounds for 100 points. So I want to see them actually be able to do some damage, but getting those 2 wounds is nice. But if you're just doubling their points and we're keeping their similar War Scroll, then we're not doing anything good here. So surely they'll give us some good stuff on these Warriors. I'm really looking forward to that War Scroll because I have a ton of Warriors. I want to play Warriors. I really want to play Warriors. So hopefully that War Scroll turns out well. They are saying that they have a 4-up ward save. We don't know that for sure yet. Or not a ward save, a 4-up armor save. So we'll see what that if that comes to fruition. Skinks are at 85. Basildon with Arc of Sotek is 200. So it's going up a little bit. This one is going to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to get this melee profile right. You know, at one point it was playable because it was so incredibly cheap at like 160. You saw some people kind of spamming it just because it was a difficult unit to kill. But I would like to see this as an actual melee piece that would be fun to run. Basildon with Solar Engine is 265. Engine of the Gods is 300. Man, you know, I was like, I really want to see the Basildon War Scroll. Is it going to keep a 1-up? I really want to see the Engine's Gods. What's a Cosmic Engine going to look like? I just want to see all these War Scrolls. It's an exciting time right now. Engine of the Gods, you know, they've gone through a couple different iterations of that Cosmic Engine, and it's usually a pretty interesting mechanic. I liked it better when it wasn't quite as random. Maybe we can get back to that, to where we have a little bit of choice in what gets summoned, but who knows. A Stegodon at 300. Ooh, he's going up a hefty amount. Still Battleline in Thunder Lizard Army, so that's good. So it looks like based on these points, we're still going to have the sub-factions that we have currently. Thunder Lizard, Fangs, Kotal's Claw. You know what? I didn't see... I didn't see Dracothian's Tail in here. So it may just be that they don't have a Battleline option. But maybe it'll still exist. So Stegodon is Battleline in Thunder Lizard Army. That's cool. Kixie Taka, the Warband, 290. Still not worth taking. Lord Krox is 395. So Lord Krox is fairly cheap there at 395. Critically, he fits under the ally threshold. So you might see Krox pop up in a Stormcast Eternals army. Maybe. I don't know. I would imagine at that cheap, he's probably still going to require his, help. The Astrolith, the Troglodon, a Skink wizard somewhere, just to give some extra range and stuff. Who knows what Lord Krox War Scroll is going to look like? But at 395, he's probably not going to be the god model that some people could have hoped for. But once you add in the other pieces, then he'll probably be pretty good. I would imagine is how they're going to do it. No idea. Ripperdactyl Chief up to 110. Okay, so for 110, surely the Ripperdactyl Chief is going to do something now, because it was worthless in the previous book. Astrolith is 140, Old Blood 135, Saurus Scarveton on Agridon 175. I like that. That's a pretty aggressively priced hero there. I like that a lot, especially because I really want to run that Scarveton on Agridon with a bunch of the Agridon Lancers. So hopefully that'll be doable. I want to see that War Scroll. Skink Priest 130, Starseer 150, Slann is 275. Okay, interesting. That Slann, and Krox, let's see, what are they? 120 points apart now? Interesting. It's going to be a good comparison to see which one we need to take. Pterodon Chief 110, same kind of thing. Hopefully it'll help actually do something now. Old Blood on Carnosaur is 285, and the Scarveton on Carnosaur is 255. So 30 points apart for the Gauntlet. Maybe there'll be something different that differentiates them. The Gauntlet has never been worth the Old Blood's shooting attack has never been worth the points difference. And please, can we please get extra rend on the jaws for the Carnosaur? But they're still pretty cheaply costed, so they may not be super powerful. They're not going to be these 400 point Maw Crusher type things. So Skink Oracle on Troglodon still 270. I hope maybe it'll find a place. Maybe it'll have a use. Stegodon Chief 330, going up a little bit more. Stegodon Chief is has always been a really fun leader. Behemoth to take. I've always enjoyed taking that one, so it'll be interesting to see that War Scroll. I hope the Stegodons keep their 3 damage shots. That's always been a lot of fun. Agridon Lancers 210 for 3 of them. Battleline, if general, is Saurus. So that right there is very interesting. We got a new Battleline if option, and that's a new Agridon Lancers. We don't know when that model's going to come out, but 210 and Battleline, 10 more points than a set of Warriors here. So that's going to be very interesting. So this opens up some interesting Battleline options, I think, because especially if you're looking at Saurus, obviously, because you have that if you're Saurus, but you could take them as Battleline in a Fangs of Sotek army, which would be kind of weird. But if you have a general of Saurus, which sometimes you do, previously, no, not too often. You'd always have a Slann as your general, so you could get the summoning points. Who knows? I can't speculate too much on this. This is just points. But that will open up some options, especially with the what we'll get down to here, where we have some other Battleline options. So I think we're going to have plenty of different ways that we can kit out Battleline, which is pretty interesting. So we can do Warriors, we can do Guard, Skinks, Stegodons, and also these Agridon Lancers, plus, as we get down here further, Kroxigor and Raptadon. So we have lots of different options for battle lines. That makes very interesting list building, I think, because you have lots of different ways to build your list. Hunters of Huanche with Dark Pipes and Starstone Bolas are staying about the same, 135 and 90. So those are your Chameleon Skinks. Now Chameleon Skinks are gone. Kroxigor at 175 and Kroxigor War Spawn 10 points more at 185. And here's the thing I'm most excited about. Battleline in a in a Kotal's Claw army. So Kroxagor are going to be Battleline. Ooh. That right there is very interesting. I hope the Kroxagor have a good War Scroll and are worth it taken as a Battleline in Kotal's Claw, because that's going to be fun. So I'm wondering if Kotal's Claw is gonna, the subfaction stuff is gonna change completely to not be focused on Saurus, to do a little bit more towards this melee stuff. So have more specific melee buffs, or maybe Kroxagor get a Saurus keyword. Who knows? But Kroxagor Battleline is very exciting to me, especially because I think I have, and maybe something like 18 Kroxagor. So I'm excited about that. Raptadon Chargers are 150, and Raptadon Hunters are 150. Both of them are 150 for 5 units each. Battleline and Fangs of Sotek army. So, you know what? I was going to pull up. We can take a break here and look at what they showed us today on the Raptadon Chargers and Raptadon Hunters. They showed us a preview towards these Raptadons, and this is so confusing. Why GW constantly previews these new models with terrible profiles. Okay, so we know this isn't the entire War Scroll, but what they've shown us for these things is not good. So it has an interesting mechanic that I think once we see the whole book and once we see all the War Scrolls, it will probably work out to be pretty cool and a nice mechanic. But what we see right now is just these things just don't do any damage. So here's what they do. They basically synergize together, which I think is pretty cool. And if they lean into this with the rest of the book, this could be really interesting. If there's a lot of things that offer synergies between different units, that could be very cool. But right here, what are they? The Chargers have this lance, and just when I first glanced at it, 3 attacks, 1 inch range on a lance. Okay, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, -1 rend, 1 damage. They have a unique ability here that adds 1 to hit rolls. Basically, if the unit you're attacking was targeted in shooting by the Hunter unit. So these Hunter units are necessitated to follow these Chargers around, and these Hunters are going to be shooting over the top, basically. So it's just a weird way to get +1 to hit. Now, this should be a base 3 up to hit, to be honest. I mean, a 4 up to hit these days is just not going to cut it. So you're forcing into these weird synergies just to get them to a decent profile. It would have been nice if it was already a 3 to hit, and if you're bringing these Hunters in shooting over the top, now you're getting them to a 2 up to hit, and now you're getting a lot more consistency with those hits. But this is, I mean, you're capped here on, you're never going to get better than a 3 up to hit, whether you use all out defense or this ability here. So it's kind of frustrating the way they do that. And to be honest, the attack isn't really that exciting. Now, this is just the lance, so there is going to be a attack for the little creature here, the Raptadon. It'll have probably jaws or claws, or maybe both. So it'll have more damage, which almost makes this ability even less useful, because let's say your Raptadon Hunter shoots over the top, you get +1 to your lance. Well, what about the other attacks? This only happens for the lances. So now you want to spend all-out attack on the other things, and now you've just kind of wasted one of these synergies. So it's very odd. Now, granted, we don't know what the rest of the War Scroll is. Maybe the Raptadons hit on 2s, and you don't need the extra +1 to hit anyway. I doubt that, but an odd interaction. So here's some more synergies here. The Hunters, they have this attack here, 2 attacks each, 4s and 4s, -2 rend, 1 damage. That profile is so weird. 4s and 4s, that's horrible. And then you get -2 rend added onto that, 1 damage. Like, we've been begging for -2 rend in our army, and now we're gonna get it on this terrible profile that's gonna do almost no damage. They have this weird thing though, that if one of the Chargers is in combat and you're close enough to them, at the end of the charge phase, you'll get to shoot with these guys again. Which sounds quite cool until you realize that they're doing like almost no damage. So I wanted to math this out here. Here's our handy AOS stats hammer. And the lances, from the profile that we've seen, we're going to assume they get +1 to hit from the Raptadon Hunter's shots. And you're looking at 4 damage versus a 4-up save. It's pitiful. Now, obviously, we don't know what the Raptadon attacks are, so it will probably be more than this. But this just kind of goes to illustrate that GW, if you want to sell models, show us a good War Scroll. Or show us the good part of the War Scroll or something. But this was just, I mean, this is a terrible amount of damage. The Hunters are even more pitiful. Like, their shooting attack, you're going to get lucky to get 2 through on a 4-up save. Oh, but you get to double shoot that. All right, so I might do another 2 damage. And nothing has a 4-up save in the game anymore, so you're talking less than 2 damage. So, not the most exciting profile. Now, here's what I'm thinking will probably happen with this Lance. And why they don't show this, I don't know why, because this would get us more excited. But let's assume on the charge, the Lances get +1 rend, +1 damage. That's pretty standard for the cavalry units that charge, right? So if we add that in there, we'll turn this one on. The damage is a little bit better. We're talking 11 damage versus a 4-up save. Much, much better for that Lance. Add in some damage for the claws, and all of a sudden, the War Scroll looks much better. So I say all that to say, don't take this War Scroll as just complete trash. We don't know the whole thing yet. But GW, please preview something good for us. The same thing happened with the Salamanders. When they previewed the Salamanders, we're looking at the War Scroll going, this is terrible. We know there's more, but why would you only show this? This is a terrible War Scroll. So same thing with these guys. I find this interaction very interesting if it actually is beneficial. Otherwise, you know, if you really can't effectively buff these chargers, no one's going to take them. You're going to end up taking the Hunters and just using them as screens and light skirmish shooting type of stuff. So very interested to see what those War Scrolls are. All right, back to the points here. So we got the Raptadon Chargers and Hunters, Ripperdactyls and Pterodon Riders up to a big whopping 120 for 3 of those. Obviously, we don't know what they do, but they have been worthless for quite some time. They're not getting anything special here. That would have been cool to see them kind of featured as a Battleline option for maybe like Dracothian's Tail or something. But we have plenty of Battleline options as we've seen so far. So they'll have a specialty role maybe as that light deep striker. Please, I wish they would be the deep strikers again. That was so much fun back in the old days. Terror Wings at 75. And here is a very interesting addition down here. We have a Coalesced Realm Shaper engine and a Starborn Realm Shaper engine. So we have 2 different profiles here. I just assume that means there's 2 different War Scrolls, depending on if you're in the Coalesced or the Starborn side, which is very cool because that means, you know, there were times when I'm playing a Coalesced army where I didn't even bother to put it on the table because I didn't have a Skink Wizard that I'm going to throw into this thing. So I would love to see these Coalesced rules for the Realm Shaper engine with something very specific towards Coalesced or Kotal's Claw. So that will be cool. I'm hoping that's what that means. We have 2 different profiles there. And then we got our allies are Cities of Sigmar, a.k.a. a Battle Mage, and Stormcast Eternals as our 2 allies. Who knows what that'll look like now. So some interesting stuff here with our pitch battle profiles and all our points. I would imagine I'm going to have to do another video tomorrow as we get more leaks coming out. And I know Saturday, AOS Coach is doing a big video review of the Battle Tome. I'm going to try to catch that if I can. I'll definitely watch it when he gets it out. And then we'll do a review here sometime and start delving into all these units and be talking Seraphon from here till eternity. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.